We are back under the lights, Ben Spicer and Marc Henry, and it's a Texas takeover today. We've got our guy Nick Gradney joining the program. Busy this time of year, Nick is. His team, he coaches in the state semifinals. He's also been working hard for the platform. You know him. He's a grinder. It's nothing new to him. How you been, though, Nick? Everything going good with you down there in Houston?
Yeah, everything's great, man. Everything's great going this plan. You know, can't complain, man.
Talk to us a little bit about the semifinals, your playoff run so far, and kind of the expectations coming off that big season last year.
Oh man, it's a much different from last year. I would say. I think the biggest difference is just adjusting to having players play both sides. I think for us, just we've had new coaches as well. So just getting to different schemes and coaches getting used to the players' habits and understanding like new strong suits for certain players. Different roles that they played last year. But our regular season record been better last year. We was 7-3 in the regular season. We went to the postseason, so that's a plus.
We're going to talk a little bit about your players, standouts that you want to mention, and then players and teams from around the Houston area as well. Obviously, Marcus in Dallas. I know he's geared up, ready for the playoffs also. I think you guys started playoffs, right, in the UIL ranks this week in Texas. So we'll talk a little bit about that. I was up in South Georgia, got the chance to go to Thomas County Central again. They kicked ass, 70-6 win in the opening round of the Georgia playoffs. But Mark, let's talk with you a little bit. And how did you what games did you go to this week, and what did you kind of see? Who stood out to you?
Well, I went a little bit off the cuff this week. Saginaw is a team out in Fort Worth that hadn't had real success in a long, long time. And the Rough Riders were undefeated. They got a district championship for the first time. And they also hosted a playoff game for the first time against Azle, a team that's in far west Fort Worth, or the west part of the Metroplex, western part of the Metroplex. And it was an exciting game, 41-39. Saginaw comes out on top, the first by district championship in their school's history. That's saying something. You're talking about a crowd and a fan base that was super excited, and they got the win. But the player that I went to see is Roman Morales. He's a 2025 quarterback, and he's the best player on the Rough Riders team. He's the guy. He's the engine that makes them go. He's at the quarterback position. He's about 5'11", maybe 6 foot. Man, Ben, he's got an arm. He's a tough customer. He's a guy that can run as well. He made plays with his feet all night, and he also made the big plays with his arm. They were down coming into the second half against Azle, and it was kind of a back and forth game. But with about a minute left, he hits his receiver over the top, and they get the big win, 41-39, to advance to the second round of the playoffs. So we're talking about a guy that can get it done on the ground. He's got 28 touchdowns through the air, and he's got 12 on the ground. Without this guy, they don't move on, and you can tell that they depend on him. He also punts too as well. I know you're real big on special teams as well for these guys that get this exposure. And I was speaking with a friend of mine. Shout out to my guy CJ Moss earlier in the week. He's like, "Hey man, I got this quarterback I want you to check out." And I've been trying to get over to Saginaw the last couple of weeks. They had a big game against Chisholm Trail, which is a rival in that area. And I said, well, you know what? Let's go ahead and go over here. They got a big playoff game, and we'll see what the hype is all about. And they get a big win in the last few minutes of the game. Shout out to my guy, Coach Mike Peters over there. He's put together a very good team. Now, when you look at this team, they don't pass the eye test that you normally see from some of these powerhouses, but they're gutsy. They don't give up, and they fought to the end. And I was very, very impressed with the Rough Riders. Now, they move on to the second round. They got to go play in West Texas against Amarillo, Tascosa. So we'll see what happens there. But for this team, for this community, that's a big win. And Roman Morales is a guy that you need to know about coming out of that particular area of the Metroplex. 'Cause they don't really get a lot of coverage, being as Some areas just don't get that coverage because they just don't get that exposure. And here at the platform, that's what we're all about. And I really like what Morales did this week, and I was very, very impressed. But we'll see what happens in the second round. But they got past the first round, which is a big deal for those guys. Again, the first championship by district wise in the school's history. You can't say that about a lot of schools. But shout out to the Rough Riders, shout out to Coach Peters and those guys, and they got the big win. And Maroma Morales, he's got a couple of offers from some small schools, but I think if they make another through another round, he'll start to pick up some more steam on that. I mean, he's a really kind of a throwback guy when it comes to the quarterback position, to being able to run and throw it and get it done. So shout out to the Saginaw Rough Riders, and shout out to my guy Roman Morales for the big victory over Hazel.
Shout out to our guy Nick. I think we got him back. I think you can hear us now. All right, let's go.
Sorry about that, fellas. I don't know over that.
No, you're all good. You look like you're in a '90s R&B video with that rain off the window back behind you.
New edition video.
I love it. Let's go to you. Kind of talk about some standouts that you wanted to mention from Houston. It's been a while since we talked to you. I think we caught up with you at the start of the season. Kind of got your thoughts on the top 5 teams. So just kind of give us the latest on what's going on down in Houston. I know you. I think you went to a game Thursday or Friday, right?
Yeah, I went to both days. Thursday I was at Shadow Creek versus Elkins, and Friday I was at Worthing versus Almeida Crawford. The Thursday game, you want me to get the rundown for both of those games, or how you?
Absolutely.
Okay, so Thursday game. Obviously the favorite was Shadow Creek going into that game. They got literally four D1 Power 5 receivers alone. So it can get out of hand at any moment. You know what I mean? And they got a couple D1 guys on the defensive end as well. Elkins, they really have not been good in years. So like this is new territory for them. But they have been 6A for a minute. They just have not really made the postseason. Shadow Creek is still a fairly new team, and they are new to 6A, coming up from 5A since 2020. Everything, they just checked every box, so it just seemed like Shadow Creek's supposed to win this game. But one thing I always say, in high school football, unlike anywhere else where you probably need like a full team of support guys, in high school football you have to have that dude at quarterback. You have to have him. Like, and Shadow Creek was working with their third string quarterback, who was a sophomore. So that's kind of tough. That's a lot to ask for a young kid who not only never played at this level, but didn't even expect to play. He's not thinking, okay, even if the starter get hurt, I'm still not gonna get in the game. I'm third string, But and then he got hurt during the game.
Wow. So
they had to use one of their receivers. Was it Chris Stewart? I want to say it was Chris Stewart. At to close out the game at quarterback. Sad to say, didn't happen. Elkins' defense was stiff, and they got a 3-star quarterback as well, Roman Seymour. And that's a big kid too. Like, I knew, like, on paper, like seeing him from afar, like he had some size on him, but just standing next to him, that kid got some size. He kind of almost remind me of Keelan Ross. I believe he may be bigger than Keelan.
Yeah, he's bigger than Keelan. He's bigger than Keelan.
Yeah,
just a little bit.
That's put together kid, and he's only a junior. So, but no, man, the running game was nice. The defense was nice. Overall, I feel like there was a couple questionable play calls on Shadow Creek side. I didn't know why it was certain plays. I didn't understand why would they go for that right then and there or whatever. But hey, man, shout out to Elkins. They move on to the next round. So that was clearly an upset, though. Definitely make no mistake about it. It's definitely an upset. The coaches from Elkins will tell you that. Now the Friday game, I was very interested in this game because Worthing High School, that's an inner city school, HISD school. That's in my neighborhood that I grew up in. Uh, and it's kind of like a friendly rival between them and us at Kip Sunnyside, to see who's the best team in Sunnyside or whatever. But I always be talking trash to like my mom and my uncles and all that, because my whole family went to Worthing. Everybody that I grew, that we all from Sunnyside, so everybody went to Worthing or whatever. So they played Almeida Crawford. Oh, it's a new school. Oh, this has only been open the second year. Last year they didn't even have varsity football. So they don't have not one. When I say not one single senior on this team, a bunch of sophomores and juniors. So these kids gonna be pretty good the next couple of years. They got some nice talent over there for real. And that's a 4A game, 4A Division I game. Crawford got out early. They got out early. They was up 21-3. Again, Worthing came in 10-0. Crawford, they barely got by. They 5-5. They definitely played the tougher competition though. So that's why they make this game a little more even. But they jumped out on them early, 21-3. Went to the second in the first half, second half, third quarter. It was all Worthing. Ja'Cory Thurman, the tight end. In that third quarter alone, that dude had to have at least 125 receiving yards. At least. One of them went from like 80 plus. And he had at least 125. He's the U of H commit, if I'm not mistaken. But those the neighborhood came out. Both sides, was pretty full. It was loud in that Hall Stadium. But it was a big win for Worthing. I would say for that game and the Elkins game, that was probably two program defining games. Well, for Worthing, I probably would say redefining games for them.
Nick, a lot of people don't know the significance of that win for Worthing. HISD as a whole has been struggling. I also want to get your thoughts on Lamar. They also had a first big win. I know you're very close to that program as well. But the significance of the Worthing win, they were undefeated. They won district this year. And the fever pitch that the excitement for this game, on social media, on the internet, was a lot of people were sleeping on Worthing, and I think the Worthing fan base really took that to heart, and you can see it, with the post, social media fever that they had kind of after this game, and I thought that, this was a game the Colts have some talent. You mentioned Thurman, he plays both sides of the ball. He plays defense.
He does.
You know what I'm saying? Yep. Which I think
he wrecked that game. He wrecked on that side too.
Yeah, I think that may be his natural position when he comes out and he goes to school. I think he'll have a chance on both sides of the ball, but as an edge rusher, he's special. You know what I mean? And you can see the athleticism on both sides. I had a chance to see them last year in the district championship against Yates, and I saw them a couple of times this year. Just talk about how that community's kind of rallying around those guys, because everybody's seen the stuff that South Oak Cliff's done. And I think that, other ISDs, inner city schools are taking that mantra and they want to experience that. But Worthing did it this week. Talk about that.
Man, when I tell you, man, that's literally all I've been seeing. And every week it just increased. Like, y'all see Worthing did. Oh, y'all see y'all went to the Worthing game. Who going to the Worthing game next week? It's like it started like around, I want to say probably like week 5, week 6-ish. When people looked up, oh man, Worthing 4-0. Oh, they 5-0. Okay, that's all right. They're gonna lose next week. Oh, they 6-0, 7. It's every week. So it's like, and when people start seeing that, people gravitate towards that. So now the stands become more packed now. So it is a real buzz about this team. It's just something about just being undefeated. You can be a good team and be like 8-2, 9-1. But it's a different thing when you're undefeated, because you got that polarizing thing going for you. You got people that want you to win, want you to keep it going. Then you got people who showing up to hoping you lose or seeing if you're gonna lose. Let me see what they do this week. I'm gonna just go. Either way, that's good publicity for them. And it's good exposure for those kids. And they have really good talent on their Worthing team. Kwame Roy is another kid. But I think overall, man, the community has got behind this team, and I believe that's gonna be big for them going forward. Because that crowd that I saw on Friday night, it was loud. I've been to Worthing games before, man. When I tell you, most people don't even focus on the football game. They there for the band. You know what I mean? But they were really into the game. They had a student section, which I had never seen. Had a student section. They had the defense chants. Man, they had like 3 different chants. I'm like, oh, this a thing. This is a locomotive right here. They trying to get somewhere. I was okay, I respect it. You gotta respect it, man.
It's back to Sunnyside High instead of Worthing.
Yeah. Yeah. So and then a lot of people look at oh man, they ain't play nobody. Which you could say that. But at the end of the day, man, that's not really they fault. You got to play who on your schedule, whatever. So you can't really blame them or whatever. But I was just thinking, man, to solidify that 10-0 regular season, they have to win a playoff game, possibly 2, but at least get this first one.
Right.
So it can make it seem legit. Okay, we wasn't just beating up on some nobodies. We can make some noise in the playoffs. And I actually and I respect the resiliency that they show in the second half, because first and second half, 2 completely different teams. Totally. Absolutely. So that showed me a lot.
Now let's talk about Lamar real quick. I know you're close to that program. They got a big victory, 23-19 over Cy-Fair. And also Heights won as well. So we got 3 victories in
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was going to start off with that.
Yeah.
Now, we got 3 inner city, HISD programs moving on to the next round. Like I said, with Worthing, like you said, with Heights and Lamar. I think Lamar probably the biggest surprise out of the 3. I think that they the better team out of the 3, but I think they pulled the toughest draw.
Right.
With Cy-Fair.
Mm-hmm.
Cy-Fair was a team, made it to the 3rd round of the playoffs. They knocked off Katy last year. They did lose a lot of talent, but Cy-Fair, they just reload. They how they be. But that isn't tough, and Lamar was having a down year as well. They was very senior heavy last year. So I'm like, they drew Cy-Fair in the 1st round. I don't know, but the defense, like I've been saying all year, though, the defensive line specifically, those boys are really good. Those boys are really good, and they have a lot of juniors now, a lot of young players. So they're probably going to be good for the next couple of years. But I would say that was probably the biggest win, because, like I said, it wasn't that I expected them to lose, but I would have, if they would have lost, I'd have been okay. That's not fair. That's cool.
Right.
I get it. But
right. Yeah.
And with the Heights winning, they blew out Memorial. Not even close. And so that was very impressive. Shout out to the Bulldogs, man. Who did they draw the next round? Was it? I think it was Straight Jesuit. If I'm not mistaken, I want to say it was Straight Jesuit. I get them a good shot of winning that game. Right. I give them a good shot of winning that game. Right. So I think all 3. Now Worthing got it. It's tough now. They got Chapel Hill. So that's gonna be the biggest game. I mean, the hardest game that they played. All year by far. Nah,
Yeah.
if they can get back Tyler Chapel here, then we might have to start
Might
saying
be
something.
doing something. Yeah.
we might have to start having some conversation then.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
man,
think
I'm proud of the city though, man.
absolutely. So was I. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to HISD, Coach Dixon, and those guys at Heights,
Hmm.
the Worthing squad for getting past the first round. I mean, that's saying something. I think those guys have been building for a while. But here's before we get out of here. Here's the question. Now you know the usual suspects are there.
Yeah.
Katy, Tascasita, North Shore. So you saw the Tascasita North Shore game earlier in the year. A few weeks ago, went down to the wire. I think this is the closest that they've been. They're on the collision course to play each other again. But I think you got Fulshire and Ridge Point, who've looked really, really good this year. The Ridge Point team is loaded. You know what I mean? With Austin Carlisle, the U of H commit, the quarterback, big offensive line, big skill players outside. Is this the year that Ridge Point makes that jump? Because they've been third round consistently, but they can't get over the hump. They lose to a Katy, they lose to a Summer Creek. The usual suspects are there. You put out your regional finals and who you think you make it to state last week. Who comes out of the Ace this year?
Man, listen, man. The tr- the trains are rolling. The trains are, man, come on, man. Come on, man. North Shore is coming out that region, dude. Like, I love Ridgeport, and it sucks that they gotta happen this way. Why they can't be on play on another level? Like, it sucked because like if they were a 4A school, right, or 5A school, we talk about a favorite to go
Right,
to state with
right.
Ridge Point. And you could say the same about Atascocita. You could say the same about Fulshire, even Katy. You like, but they all like, come on, man. Like,
You
that's
gotta
not
come
even
see
right.
me. You gotta come
This is
see me.
not even right. It's not even right, man. So, and I think I love Ridge Point. I just don't think they have the defense to stop those upper echelon teams like the North Shores or the Atascocitas. You know those guys. I was at Ridgepoint versus Fulshire this year, and they were getting manhandled on the defensive end. Like they couldn't stop. Fulshire could literally tell them their play, and they couldn't stop it.
Right.
It was that bad. And that was probably the most uncomfortable I've ever seen Austin Carlisle, who I consider the best quarterback in the city, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Even over over KB.
I love KB to death. I love KB to death, but quarterback development, man.
Okay.
Quarterback development.
Okay.
I'm just looking at from year to year. How those guys have progressed. And I'm not saying Caleb have not progressed because he definitely has. But he
Right.
did have a setback 2 years ago with that knee injury. You know what I
Right.
mean? So it kind of threw some things off or whatever. But no, Caleb, Caleb's right there, and you could say, he's the best as well. I wouldn't knock that out. He got the hallway, he got the team, he played the tough teams, whatever. I mean, I'm an Austin Carlisle fan as well too. So, um, but man, the team that I will watch out for is Fulshire.
That run game.
They run game that and nobody can stop it.
Right.
Nobody can stop it, and they are faster than you think on both sides of the ball. They can play a little defense when needed. But like I said, it's a few challenges over there for North Shore, but at the end of the day, man, when the road meet the road, man.
Well, man, listen. One more question before we got here. Richmond Randall, 5A Division Two. Landon Williams-Callis, 2027 running back. Around we'll go statewide. That's the matchup everybody wants to see is Sock and Randall. Shout out to my guy, Coach Randall over there. This is one of the best 2027 running backs in the nation. You got Jacoby up at Brenham as well. There's an argument there as
Kobe
well. I
Dixon.
saw some guys going back and forth about that. But Randall seems to be the favorite coming out of there. You got Iowa Colony as well. You've seen both teams. But I think the favorite coming out is Richmond Randall. Talk about them a little bit.
Landon Williams-Callis had 169 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns on 7 carries. On 7 carries, dude, that's like 25 yards. And this is the thing, he don't even play that much. Like I seen somebody ask, do he have a chance to break a Derrick Henry record? I was like, nah, he's not gonna touch that record because he don't get the ball enough. He's probably getting 10 to 12 carries a game, maybe. But he's definitely making use of those carries. Like he's breaking like big runs, bro. Like that kid is unstoppable. And it's not just he does have a great offensive line. The balls are big.
Yeah.
But if you watch it, when he gets to that second level, it's all him.
Yeah.
It's all him. When he gets to the linebackers,
yeah,
I'm gonna holler at you.
Right.
And they call their quarterback is a dual threat. He's more of a mobile quarterback. They actually got 2 quarterbacks who every now and then they'll put in to mix it up a little bit. The defensive style. I've seen enough personally. They battle tested to me.
Yeah.
They manhandle Fort Bend Marshall.
Right.
They manhandle. Well, I ain't gonna say they manhandle our colony, but they beat our colony fairly easily. Who else? It was another team. I can't remember. Another good team. I cannot think right now. But they got some impressive wins this year. So I got them. Going to state. But it's a lot of teams like over there. I would love to see them in our colony rematch. I like Texas High. Them boy. Hey, I almost picked them boys. I almost picked Texas High, man.
Yeah.
So like that. But like you said, man, everybody looking for that Randall and Sock matchup. I think Sock gonna have a bit of a test with Huntsville. Huntsville not gonna push over, So, but I think that's gonna be good, man. I love that bracket, man.
Absolutely, man. I will. But usually at the end of the show, being asked where we're going. That's where I'm going. Friday I'll be at Odessa Permian and North Crowley, and Saturday I'm going to Waco. I got to see Huntsville. They have a really good team. It's going to be a good test for South Oak Cliff.
Yep.
And I'll be there. That game is at 3:00 on Saturday. So those are the 2 games that I'll be at this week: Odessa Permian, North Crowley Friday, and South Oak Cliff and Huntsville on Saturday. I'll be up in Waco for that, man. But listen, this is the time of the year where you start to get your meat and potatoes and your gravy, and you put it all on your plate, and you're ready to eat. This is high school football at its best. These second week matchups being in Texas, man. Dang, I wish I could fly you in because you would be happy. You will be happy as a kid at Christmas for these games, man.
I love it. Hey, real quick before we sign off, I'll go no huddle real quick. Recap that Thomas County Central game. And I wanted to bring something up. I don't know if you guys are familiar with these devices. I was not. I kind of thought it was their band doing it at first, the first couple games I went to. But the fans bring these devices in. They're called vuvuzelas. So this was like World Cup. I think they were first introduced like a decade ago or so.
Right.
And it basically, so they make this weird little noise, and Thomas County Central's the Yellow Jackets, right? So when they're all blowing it together, it kind of sounds like a swarm of bees. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you ever got close to like a beehive or something, but it sounds something like, man, that's pretty cool. You know what I mean? That's home field advantage for one. As far as I know, I've seen several people mention it. There's no rule outlawing it, right? Like there's certain things you can't bring in, but that's not one of them from the list that I saw. So apparently, I guess before the postseason or at some point this season, they got together and called Thomas County Central out by name. They were like, these noise devices that some schools use, like at Thomas County Central, they're causing issues, I guess. But to me, it's like, okay, you're not going to go to Mississippi State and tell them to stop with the cowbells. So this is something that we've seen. They've done this. So it's just weird to me that out of nowhere it's an issue. And, in the game that we're going to talk about, it was 28-0. So game's pretty much already in hand at this point, first round game. And so the refs get together. I don't know if the other team complained to the referees or what sort of happened, but they stopped the game. And it gets to the point they gave several warnings. The referees did. Eventually, it escalates, and Thomas County Central gets a 15-yard penalty because the fans are blowing these devices when Winterboro has the ball on offense, so they can't hear, I guess. I don't know. It's just that's really crazy to me because, like, if you're Justin Rogers, Thomas County Central's coach, like, what are you supposed to do? You can't tell the fan, like, that's crazy to me. I don't know. So I don't know if you guys have ever seen anything or heard anything like that. I know we mentioned it on, I think, the first show we ever did. I thought it was cool. And like I said, I thought it was the band for the longest time. And then I realized, it's this musical device, I guess. But I don't know. It was crazy to me. I wanted to bring that up just because it's kind of like, I don't know, what can you do? And kind of what's the point of having home field advantage if you're not allowed to do something that you've done all season? So I thought that was strange. But I did want to mention a couple guys real quick, like I said. And obviously, this kid has had an amazing season. These stats are nuts. Shout out to Coach Maud from Thomas County Central. He provided us with these stats. He is the running back coach at Thomas County Central. He's got a good one in Christian Deuce Lawrence. We've seen his recruitment explode in his junior season. How about this stat line for you guys? 3 carries, 149 yards, 3 touchdowns. I would say that's pretty efficient.
Wow.
So, obviously, he got it done, and that was just in a half of work as well. Jalen Johnson was impressive. He connected with Rodney Dunbar early on the first drive for a couple passes, one eventually being a touchdown. And then you saw Jabari Watkins, 2027 receiver. He's got several offers, including a Power 4 offer from Kentucky already. He had a long touchdown, catch and run, and then he had a catch over the middle on a slant route inside the red zone. So just showing kind of his versatility. We saw him throw a touchdown pass a couple weeks ago when Thomas County Central beat Coffee. So a kid who can do it all. He's explosive. 2026 linebacker Amari Stevenson, he really impressed in that game against Coffee. Obviously limited action again. He only played a half, but made some plays in that one as well. He started to pick up some recruiting momentum, got a couple offers. I think Georgia State just offered him yesterday as well. And then you got Trayvon Pringle. So this is a cool story for Pringle. He's actually a converted wide receiver, playing defensive back, kind of playing everywhere on that defense. He made some plays not only on special teams but defensively as well. And 11 tackles for loss. That led the team in the regular season per Max Prep stats. He's a guy, again, another Thomas County Central player who's starting to pick up, get things rolling in his recruitment. And I think he's just getting started. So I'm excited to see where things go for him. But yeah, man, Deuce Lawrence having an amazing season for Thomas County Central. I think he's going to be a big key for them moving forward. They've got Rome on Friday. They are 8-2. They were 7-0 in their region, top 40 team in Georgia, according to Max Prep. So that'll be an interesting matchup. It's like Texas, guys. Once you get into that second round, some of those matchups get crazy. So we'll see how Thomas County Central handles that. I think that will be a road game for them, if I'm not mistaken, because they have that one region loss. So that'll be interesting. We'll see how they respond to that road environment up at Rome. I think that's a pretty decent trip. Did want to shout out one player for Winterboro. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. But they had a freshman safety, Giovanni Tuggle. And he's got decent frame for a freshman, 6'1", 168, according to Max Preps. A guy who led the team in interceptions in his first year playing varsity ball, had 6 picks on the season. He was impressive to me, and I think the most impressive part, he obviously didn't record an interception in the contest, but just his willingness to come up, make plays, hit. He didn't shy away from the contact at all. He was around the ball. Obviously made some freshman mistakes, but you could expect that from a young player playing up on varsity in a game like this. But I think he's one to watch as his career progresses. I liked what I saw from him, so I think he's got some talent, got some ability. Keeping an eye on him. They also had a couple playmakers out wide and at running back. It was a tough day for him. Couldn't get a lot going, but Demetrius M.J. Dowdy, he finishes the season with 17 total touchdowns. And then you've got some guys at receiver as well, London Munoz and Kenyon Glasper, who had solid seasons also. So shout out to them. Tough day for Winterboro, 70-6 loss to Thomas County Central. So I don't know where I'll be next week. I think I'm going to make the trip up to South Georgia again, try and find a game. But looking forward to that, and looking forward to talking with you guys as the playoffs get underway. This is the best time of year, man. College football playoffs right around the corner. NFL playoffs coming in a couple months. We'll have DR7 in January. So I'm fired up, guys. I'm ready to go.
Absolutely, man. Let me ask you one question though, real quick, Ben. How good do you think this Thomas County team is? Because I know you've gotten to see them up close and personal. Do you think they make a run all the way?
That's a tough question. I think it kind of depends on matchups and who they end up being matched up with. I think this week will be a good test, kind of a good gauge of where they're at. I'm trying to look now at the brackets and see potential matchups and everything like that. States do it differently, like some states. I know in Kentucky they reseed the playoffs after like the third round with the RPI. Terrible system. So I'm not sure how Georgia does it. I'm assuming that it's just straight up with the bracket. But some tough matchups if they are to advance. I think they'll play the winner of Roswell, Langston Hughes after that. And again, it looks like they could be on the road moving forward. The way it sets up, I think they could avoid Milton and Lee County until the championship, looking at the bracket and kind of how it shakes out. So obviously, Lee County defeated them in the regular season. That was their only loss. And Milton's really good. I think Milton at this point would probably be the favorite in that division to win it all, just because all the talent that they have. But yeah, I think absolutely if the bracket shapes up how it looks to me on Max Preps, and kind of take what you see on Max Preps with a grain of salt. We all know that. But if it's how it is structured on Max Preps, I think they very well could make the state championship, and they have the potential to get it done. Jalen Johnson, their quarterback, took them to a 15-0 season and a state championship as a sophomore last year. He's only gotten better. They had 5 new offensive linemen come in. That was kind of a question mark around the team, but obviously they've responded. They've dominated the season. So yeah, I do think they could. Right now, I would say Milton and Lee County would probably be my 2 favorites, but Thomas County Central's right there on their heels, and until they're the champs until they're dethroned. So I absolutely think they have what it takes to get it done. And I really think they're only scratching the surface too, right? Like I think Johnson and this receiving core, they've really gotten a nice chemistry as the season's gone on. We've seen the emergence of Jabari Watkins, and then you got Rodney Dunbar on the outside, big 6'5" receiver. So matchup nightmare. Both of those guys are. So I think they have the makings, and then that's not even talking about the defense, right? There's so many great players on that defense. The defensive line is crazy, obviously led by Cam Brooks, 2026 defensive end, has a bunch of Power 4 offers. You look in the secondary, you've got USC commit Kendarius Reddick, who's a playmaker, especially on special teams. I know we said when they played Coffee, don't kick to him.
Yeah.
Thankfully, Wander Barrow got the memo. I don't know, they must have watched the show, but they did not punt to Thomas County Central. I think they had one that was returned, and that was later in the game. But they definitely got the memo. But again, just the team that's complete in all phases. Drew Renault, the kicker and punter, he recovered an onside kick. They were up 21-0. He did an onside kick, recovered it himself. So, I mean, they've just got so many weapons in all 3 phases of the game. So I think they're engineered to make another state championship run. I just don't know that I would, go all in and go ahead and put that out there, because there's some other really, really talented teams in that division as well. So we'll see. I think they've definitely got what it takes, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah, appreciate Nick joining us here, and looking forward to how things shake out in Houston as well. So thanks for your time, Nick.
Yes,
and what do you guys have coming to the platform? What can we expect over the next couple days, couple weeks?
Well, you can expect I got a article that's about to come up probably before the morning's over. Some top quarterback performances in the DFW in the first round. Of course, you got some of the usual suspects, but you got some new guys that you need to know about going into the second round. But we'll talk about their performances in round 1 as they help their teams win. That'll be up before the morning's over.
Yeah, and I just dropped the next gen 29, highlighting some guys, some younger guys that's in the 8th grade right now, that's about to take that next step into high school. After next week, after our next game, I'll be doing like player spotlight of the postseason in the Houston area. So I'll be on the lookout for that. Yeah, so that's what I got in the pipeline right now.
Playoffs are underway, guys. It's the best time of the year. Stay locked in here to the platform Under the Lights podcast over these next couple weeks as we break it all down from Florida Georgia, Texas, and all over the nation. We have you covered right here. Hit that like and subscribe, and we'll see you back here next Sunday for next week's show. Until then,